Okay, we'll bring it back for a vote. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. Thank you. Thank you, Jared, for coming. Appreciate it. Okay, let's move to H3, the Sheriff's Department.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. John Mino, Under Sheriff. This is really a follow-up piece to what we discussed in the county's mid-year budget discussions. We asked at that time that the county, that the board make allowances in the budget to fund 4 additional correctional officers. At that time, the board approved the budget piece. This really is now coming back to really to clean it up from an allocation standpoint. We currently have 18 allocated correctional officers in the county jail. This request is to move that from 18 to 22. And just to address, I told you, Mr. Chairman, we'd address some of the concerns raised earlier. There's no correctional officer that works for us that is assigned to an administrative function. 0. There are administrative things that every job and every classification in our organization have to do every day. Deputy sheriffs spend an inordinate amount of time writing police reports. That is not out patrolling the streets and catching bad guys, but it is tied directly to their job. Same thing with correctional officers. They spend time booking people, releasing people, taking people to and from court, taking people to and from doctor's appointments. They spend time having to get through a booking process, collecting fingerprints, doing the things that Department of Justice requires, collecting DNA samples. They do a wide variety of duties as a part of being a correctional officer. But the idea that we have correctional officers assigned to administrative or secretarial or clerical positions is false. It is just that simple. It doesn't happen. And I don't know if that just comes from a position of not knowing or a position of trying to mislead the board or the public, but it just isn't true. And I'll be happy to take any questions or comments that you have on this piece.
Any board members have any questions?
So you don't take administrative assistants, like say in the office, and turn them into correctional officers?
Mr. Chapman, anybody that works for us or IGA or Ace Hardware that meets the minimum job requirements to test for correctional officer can compete. They can take the written test, they can take the interview, they can go through a background, the medical, the psych, all the legal processes.
But they do that separate of their
They do that separate of their job, and if they assume the duties of a correctional officer, then they become a correctional officer, and we now have a vacant clerical position to fill.
I think that's the point. I mean, I know that's been, I thought, the practice, but the question is saying that that's not the case, but that's the case.
Okay. Thank you for that. And I'd like to open up for public comment. And then if anybody has any questions, maybe we're back.
Sure.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it. All right, come on up. Ron Wood, thank you.
First thing is, Chairman and board members, I didn't come up here throwing rocks at this podium. I have not made any personal attacks on anybody. My concern is the budget. My concern is that the fact is, I know personally there are administrative assistants working in that jail that claim they have a badge number. Now, when's the last time anybody had an administrative assistant with a badge? I'm asking that the board hold this over, so give me more time, or somebody else, maybe the board, get more time to look at this and make sure that it's being done properly before we make a hasty decision approving this 4 of the correctional officers. Again, I said they're starting at 18 correctional officers. My concern is that if you have 18 correctional officers, how many of those correctional officers are been to the Corps Academy? How many you have the 832 as required by 831 of the Penal Code? I mean, I don't know. And there's no way to tell who's getting paid, who's not getting paid, because if somebody works as administrative assistant and they're getting paid correctional salary and taking those benefits for retirement, I mean, it's not a proper classification, and it's abuse of the system. And I'm asking that the board, before they make a decision authorizing these 4 of the COs, is that hold it over and then study a little bit. Make sure we're making the right decision.
So what would you suggest we study?
Well, I mean, I can sit there and say, you know, it's like filing your taxes. You can say you make earn this kind of money, unless IRS comes in and looks at it, they're not gonna know. So I'm saying is that there probably needs to be an audit done in the sheriff's department's budget. I mean, to make sure that the money's being spent properly. I mean, it's our tax dollars. I don't care if AB 109 is providing the money, I don't care if we're providing the money. So they're getting the money, and I don't think it's appropriate to give an allocation $85,000 for 4 COs, when in fact they probably got maybe more than 18 COs, or maybe some of these administrative assistants are classified as COs and they work in the office. Now if that, you know, we're not saying, what I'm saying is that they're administrative people, don't have the qualifications, and not legally, they're exempt from working in the jail because they're not legally qualified to work in the jail. But they're getting a salary, and the only way, like this is a short notice for me because like on Friday I submitted a letter to the editor. I mean, it was just, this is too quick and I didn't have time to study it myself. But I'm saying right now is that if we're giving them a 3% enhancement to work in the jail, I mean, to be an administrative assistant, or give them a perk for being a good employee, I don't think it's appropriate, and it's inappropriate. I worked in the jail. I have first-hand knowledge of that. I mean, it's not like it's new to me. I mean, anybody that's worked over there can see it. I mean, it started from '96 when I worked there. I just asking the board, before you make a decision on this, is hold it over and study a little bit.
So, okay, so if I understand, so you're requesting that we put it on hold, so it'd be several weeks and audit the sheriff's department and then make a decision at that time? That's basically.
Basically, yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Appreciate your comment. Yeah, I was just gonna ask John if he'd like to comment.
I'd like to jump.
on that. Yeah,
If I could ask Mr. Wood first.
Sure.
Sir.
Oh, sorry.
Now, I understand what you're saying. Are you accusing the sheriff's department of corruption?
No, I'm not.
Well, your statements are pretty strong, and I'd like to see some proof.
Well, I can give names, but you know, I don't think it's appropriate to right here give names. I think this is confidential and it should be, I mean, it's between the board and the sheriff's department, not me. I'm not making any allegations. All I'm saying is, I think maybe the funds are not being
You
properly.
have made allegations.
Well, what I'm saying is, correctional officers, if you're gonna allocate money for correctional officers, then we should make sure that that money is actually gonna be used for that purposes. I mean, my document is pretty clear what I'm saying.